Let's learn about C6H12 cyclohexane. It is a hexagon. Each carbon has 2 bonds to carbons and 2 hydrogens. They all are 109 tetrahedral and sp3 hybridization. They all have sigma bonds, carbon to carbon and carbon to hydrogen. And in order to draw them, I would draw this fashion with a left tip and a right tip hexagon, not like the benzene. And then I would shade an envelope in red like this, so that way we can draw that, and also number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in order. Once you've done that, you can say 1 to 2 carbon looking up or pushing up in a slanted drawing, and also draw another envelope type between 3, 4, 5, and fourth carbon is looking down. The number 1 red carbon is looking up, fourth carbon green is looking down. So that's why 2 envelopes, right? So number 1 goes up like this, a tip, and number 4 goes down in this fashion, a tip, right? And then it's like a Nike sign or check mark and connect them, and 2 to 4 is an inverted check mark, right? And the numbering, let's complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then if you flip the ring, we call the conformational change. I simply say flip the ring, and in this case this is not death roll of a crocodile or something. It just a tip. So the carbon 1 tip goes down, 2, 3, 4. The carbon 4 tip goes up, and then continue 5 and 6. So now we have done the conformational change, the chair conformational change, simply a ring flip, right? So, and then you look at the numbers, position 1 and position 4. And also remember, this fourth carbon has 2 hydrogens showing 109 bond angle on the plane, and this one is solid wedge coming to you, and 4 to 5 is going into the screen. So that's how you show tetrahedral carbon. The all sigma bonds 109 all are there. Now all of these carbons going to show that. So each carbon is tetrahedral, 109, 1 solid, 1 wedge, right? All carbons show that. So because it's restricted in a ring, it's not going to behave like a zigzag line type, right? That's why we have to draw different conformations. Now let's look at how to understand some more details. If you kind of remember, when you have the globe, north pole, it is an axis, and also there's south pole, right? So if I get the conformation, the chair conformation, after the ring flip, and you start normally here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons, and put the numbering correct. Each 1, 3 and 5 will have sort of 1 pointing to north pole, and 2, 4 and 6 would be pointing 2, 4 and 6 should be pointing to the south pole. So they all are axis, so we should say axial. So 2, 4, 6 to the south and 1, 3, 5 to the north. Not only that, so remember equator. So the equator is kind of horizontal, right, around the globe. So we're going to draw each carbon a horizontal bond. Those are actually parallel to the chair's horizontal bonds. Okay, that's how we draw it. So you see all my greens are, they are not axial, they are equatorial. They're a little bit not perfectly horizontal, right? They're equatorial. So the reds, the axials are easier. Get the axials done, and then you draw the rest. Now let's flip the ring and see what happens to each axial and each equatorial. They should be switching them. So let's go number 1 tip down now, because earlier the number 1 tip up, number 4 tip up now, earlier it was down. Now you see what happens, all the axial especially the focus on the fourth carbon, the axial hydrogen becomes equatorial after the ring flip. Now, also the equatorial green on the fourth carbon should be axial, right? So this equatorial, it's going to turn onto the axial now. So simply what I'm saying, each axial will be equatorial, each equatorial will be axial after the ring flip. So learn one point and then you can do the rest, right? And yeah, critically look at it and you can do that. Okay, now we can also draw another chair like this, and then let's do the ring flip, right? And so one carbon down, fourth carbon up after the ring flip, right? And if you start with X and Y groups, each carbon has one axial, one equatorial. X is axial, Y is equatorial. So I'm giving two generic labels, right? After the ring flip, it should be X should be equatorial and Y should be axial, right? But remember, always down one, always stay down, like something like that, right? If you're down, you stay down, right? So so that's the idea, right? And then if it is something is up on the cyclohexane ring, that would stay up, whether axial or equatorial doesn't matter. Okay, and let's do another ring flip. You can practice like that the way I showed you. And let's have a hydroxyl group equatorial on the first carbon, right? And now I'm going to a specific, right? Not the generic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's get fourth carbon with a bulky group, tertiary butyl group, third butyl group. So that's a much bulkier group because OH has only 2 atoms and third butyl group has a lot of atoms, right? And then after the ring flip, equatorial becomes axial third butyl and the equatorial hydroxyl becomes axial hydroxyl on the first carbon, right? So that's how we mark it. So now the ring flip is done. We have to see the energy. Okay, so there's few ways to explain that one. So yes, equatorial, every equatorial becomes axial, and hydroxyl is equatorial, it becomes axial. Third butyl is equatorial, it becomes axial, third butyl after the ring flip. But remember, up stay the up, down stay the down, right? Now, if you look at here, this one here, hydroxyl group 1, 2, 3, on the third carbon, there's a hydrogen. This clash is called the 1,3 diaxial interaction. So OH and H is a smaller relatively, but still it's called the 1, 2, 3. That's called the 1,3 diaxial interaction. But look at this one here. Between hydrogen here and this tertiary butyl group is bulky, very big, massive. This repulsion is very big because of that one, the equilibrium push to the reactant side. So you want to put the equilibrium sign towards favorable to reactants because of that 1,3 diaxial interaction between the hydrogen and the third butyl group. That's how you explain. Okay, so now you know energy is very high in the second structure. The first structure is energy is very low. That's the reason, right? Stability is very high in the first structure. Now look from the top of the stable low energy structure, right? It's a hexagon from the top. You don't see the depth. You don't see the tip up, tip down. But you have to pay attention. Hydroxyl group is away from your eye. It's a dash wedge. So down, stay down on the line diagram below. And also look from your eye, the third butyl group, like a flag, it's coming towards your eye, right? So you see it's looking up. So that should be a wedge, solid. And that solid, third butyl group, is looking up. So that's how you draw it in a line diagram. So interconvert the chair conformation to the line diagram back and forth, okay? Now, also you want to look at when you have one up, one down, it's also called the trans. So hydroxyl to the third butyl has a trans link. How do you see it? Look at the double bond. One is up, the other one is down. So it looks like a double bond. This butene, similar to the double bond, is similar to the ring. Okay, that's how you can see. So you see cis trans butene and then the trans hydroxyl and the third butyl group on the ring, right? Now, let's look at a little more about the energy and stability. And this one, overall, you can actually calculate. Delta G value is negative RT ln KEQ. KEQ is actually product over reactants, or starting cyclohexane ring and then the ending conformation. So we're going to look at how does it play, right? So free energy delta G is on the y-axis, right? And we're going to have torsional or dihedral angle for the, even you can say coordinates to the x-axis, right? So now if you graph it, so I'm going to get few examples, okay? So first learn from the conformational changes from ethane. It's the easiest one. Ethane will have a sine wave like one because it has only two conformations, staggered and eclipsed. Then I will have for butane, I say this one is a happy monster, I have an angry monster later, right? So this happy monster is a good way to memorize if you want to understand that, ethane to butane. So butane, and then also cyclohexane. So the cyclohexane will have energy diagram similar to, I say this style is angry monster, and you see the face, the mouth, right? So it's kind of angry, but that's how the energy wave looks like, okay? And then I say the reason is on the head of the angry monster there is a boat conformation from the cyclohexane. So boat might be heavy, so he's not happy, he's angry, right? And this one changing from chair conformation 1C4 to 4C1 chair conformations. So those are the details. You have to read the book first, right? Read my book and then go from there. So let's see again, ethane has two major conformations, high energy and high stability, right? So that's staggered and eclipse, staggered eclipse, staggered eclipse. So how you draw the Newman projection is here. So the closest carbon is the dot with the 3 hydrogens, and also the back carbon is the circle, and then keep the circle intact and draw that one. You never change that one, but rotate the steering, like the steering wheel, the front carbon, rotate that one 60 degrees. What happens? It's going to be eclipsed, right? So you're going to draw dot in green, and I draw it in green, and then that will be eclipsed. You see the staggered, after 60 degree torsion, it becomes eclipsed. So that's the staggered low energy, eclipsed high energy, right? The stability is inverse though, okay? Now here in the butane, you're going to try to remember this one. So this one is methyl eclipsed to each other, and that should have the highest clash between methyl, lot of repulsion, lot of energy. That's the head of the happy monster. Maybe he's got a lot of energy, that's why he's happy, right? And then you rotate, you will get other anti-version at the beginning of the shoulder of the happy monster, right? Let's talk about the angry monster. You start with the chair, 1C4 chair, and then have a half chair which has the highest energy, right? And then you have something called the twisted boat, and it has medium energy, and then you have the head of the monster, the boat. So those are the ones going to be repeating, and it's a harmonical change. Also another thing, so this boat has 2 hydrogens clashing each other, pole effect. Okay, and so now repeat these 4 conformational change that we are at the center of the monster, angry monster, and then repeat to the end of the diagram again, right? All right. Ask me questions. Thank you.